Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Flag Talk podcast. We are back for a new season and we here with predictions. And to do so, obviously, I have the entire team here, except Brandon, because unfortunately Brandon went Miaro. But I have
The
everybody else
MVPs
here.
only.
And the non-haters are here. And Patrick will join us momentarily. But to do so with me, I have as always Virgil. Uzi was again, my guy.
So new season. I have a feeling gonna be a lot of nonsense, but here we go.
We have Yuan, fresh
Whoa.
off, unfortunately, the Community Shield game. But he's
That was
still, unlike Brandon, showed commitment to show up here despite inconveniences. Yuan, was it good?
Well, looking forward to another season of the Keel not watching football, John complaining, and Brandon hating.
So everybody here then. And then we have Nikhil. Nikhil was good, my guy.
I'm good. Ready for the season, I guess.
So guys, what
You
we
play
do
though.
differently. FM. All right, guys. So what we're gonna do different this year is before we just do like the top 10 and thing or top 8 or whatever it was, and it would have worked out kind of random, right? And we'd end up not talking about certain teams. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go from 20 and go up. We're gonna have them in categories. I'll try to put them on the screen now for you all to see them as well. But what it's gonna be is put teams in groups, right? So we're gonna have first, which is obviously just one team, then second to fifth, which will remain at the Champions League, then 6 to 8, which is rest of Europe, 9 to 13th, which is mid-table, 14 to 17th, which is the relegation avoiders, and 18 to 20th, which is the next season championship favorites, right? And those who get relegated. And we're gonna go from bottom to top, grouping off teams. And so that way, it also will kind of allow a bit more flexibility amongst ourselves, right? Because we might think, a team the finish Europa Conference League level, but if you hard put it in 6 or you hard put it in 8 people is whatever. So to kind of avoid that, right? So we're gonna go from
because we don't sound like you're talking about.
so we're gonna go last thing before we officially start. This year, guys, for the benefit of the pod and you all the viewers, we starting what I don't really have a name of it, but as a football takes book, right? I am writing down every single take anybody has ever made on this pod going forward. No better place to start than the prediction pod, right? We doing this so that when it is that somebody make a good take or a bad take and anybody want to reference it before or later down the line, they could do so. But we also have Daniel here finally with us. Patrick, what's the good, my guy?
Okay.
Yeah, man. What's up? Everybody doing?
We good. Nice. So I now said that we started off with the tiers. We're gonna just go bottom, go top. And I also told the podcast team, and I tell them, well, use part of that and the viewers, for the sake of recorded transparency, all that, I writing down everybody's predictions.
Okay.
Not just now, but for the whole season. Anytime a man make a prediction, a take, or whatever on the pod, it is going to be written down to be referred back later on if they want to, or if somebody else wants to refer back to it. So it had nothing like Brandon saying that somebody said something before and we can't find it. Right?
Where is Brandon?
He is in Miaro and unfortunately could not make it. But we have his predictions. His predictions. So with that being said, guys, let's get into it. So we started from the bottom. So why don't we go with the Keel first? Who you have in the relegation spots, bro?
I have everybody that came up. I'm not gonna lie to
Whoa.
I-
Unanimous.
I genuinely don't care for any of these teams. I don't think they're gonna come up and do absolutely anything of worth, and I think they're gonna go straight back down.
So, bro, you don't think that
Anybody
is
does
the key
not-
competitor of the Premo?
Anybody has anything different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have something different. Okay, cool. So
Yeah,
two of you all have the
Looking for
same thing.
attention.
Virgil, who do you have in your bottom three?
Yeah,
As I ask, if that can go on mute, yes? Virgil, who you have in your bottom
Yeah.
three, bro?
Now my bottom three is Sunderland, Leeds, but the difference
So you
I
have Burnley staying off.
yeah,
Okay.
the other team making the cut is Wolves.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Okay. Patrick, who's your bottom three?
I had Burnley, Leeds, and Wolves also.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I
Wolves
had Burnley,
gone.
Leeds and Wolves as well. But here it is,
Yeah.
right? Out of the three of us, I get an excuse because it's very evident why I would want Sunderland to go down, right? But also, I do think they had like some decent buys as well. Also, like something that Brandon has lead into before that I haven't always bought into, but Prem Heritage and all that. And like that's a huge reason why he would say Leicester would stay up last year. I think Sunderland, being the historic club that it is too, relying on someone that I think that they would stay up. I don't think it's by much. I really do think that it is a bit of horror, right? But like I think Adigra is a good signing. I think Xhaka, obviously, I think is a good signing. And subtly, I think Gui from Chelsea was also a good signing. You know, the few times that he did play for Chelsea, I thought that he did show sparks. And look, we talking about that two teams in particular, because one team that nobody mentioned, but I'm pretty sure you're going to have in your 17th to 40 spots is Brentford. There's two teams in particular that lost their firepower. You know, Wolves is one, Brentford is another one.
Yeah, United pigeon from fellow relegation battlers.
I know Larson is still there at Wolves, which is a big thing. But Cunha scored 15, bro. I was like so far and away the best player. And I do think that does allow us space between those two teams and the relegation. This was someone to take advantage. And I think that is Sunderland. However, I want to say something though. And I know, Virgil, you had Burnley staying up, right? So I can let you continue after this, right? Burnley's manager is Scotty Parker, right, dog? This man at this point is an expert manager of the championship. Because he's go down there, win the league, come up and get sacked in the first 6 games. And like it just doesn't come. So Virgil, why do you think it's gonna be different?
Nah, because like what you mentioned before, it was really hard to choose somebody because trust me, I wouldn't say Sunderland is a team that I would say is an outright team to go down. But looking at Burnley and the signs that they make, I feel like they have a little solid team. They got, Burnley is a very defensive team too. But I feel like from that DNA they had before, I think it was 2 seasons ago, where they had the whole attacking play they had. I feel like even if they were to revert back to that style of play, they have players where it could sustain, because even looking at the signs they make and with the quality strikers too they have, I feel like they have a lot of they have proven players, and I feel like nothing to do anything crazy, but I feel like they have enough to keep them up.
But to also aid your point, while it's amounts to nothing, Burnley have the longest undefeated streak in the Europe going on right now. Like, period. 33 games undefeated. Oh! And like they have a ridiculous defensive. Huh?
Where that goalkeeper gone though?
Yeah, the goalkeeper is gone to City too, But yeah, Patrick, if you have anything in particular you wanted to highlight about Sunderland and maybe about Wolves too, as to why I think Wolves will be going now.
With the Sunderland thing, yeah, I think that the signing's been decent. Well, I think that they made good enough signings to play on the back foot enough and kind of just hold out and ride out games now. But I think they're going to get maybe a decent amount of draws this season, and that might keep them up. I don't see them scoring a lot of goals, but Denga is a capable attacker. I could help. But I was more looking at the experience Xhaka bringing. I think it will add a lot. I just can't see him getting relegated either, so I'm just going to go based off of that. And then with Wolves, I mean, losing Cunha and Aït-Nouri is going to be too big for them. They already couldn't defend. They still can't defend. And now they can't score goals. So that's going to be an interesting one. I've never seen football played like that. So let's see if they could stay up. What would I do if they stay up? If they stay up, I will... I don't know. I'll do something crazy because they're not going to stay up. So...
We'll come back. We can pull
it up. Write that down there. Write that down.
Yeah.
Write it down.
First one in the book, boy. The other thing I forgot to say too is even they bought Ronaldo, how you pronounce his name? From Atletico Madrid now. And that's also a solid signing. Cool, nice. moving up now, 14. Oh, so I should say, Brandon did have Brentford going now, and I know like he would have probably explained it better, but I think we can also see why. I can tell you for Brandon to say Brentford to go down and how much he likes Brentford as a club. It means like he feels very convicted about it. I mean, it looks like they're gonna lose restarts in Newcastle this week. They already lost their boy, they lost their captain, they lost their manager. I am honestly surprised that they still managed to hold on to Nathan Collins after all that. I think he's such a great talent, a great player. And it looked like he might go Liverpool too. So all that in the works, right? All right, cool. Moving up to 14th to 17th. Let me start the other way around. So I had West Ham, Brentford, Sunderland, and this team gonna end up also being a negative surprise seed, which is Nottingham Forest in the 14th to 17th range. Patrick, who did you have in that zone?
Yo, man, like just who in the zone.
So this still has to be no order. There is no order. The only one that I actually want order for is second to fifth. But besides that, once it's just in the group.
The 17th to 14th?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can give him an order still. In 17th, I did Sunderland. 16th, Brentford. I think they're going to be pretty bad this season. 15th, Fulham. Also think they're going to be pretty bad. And then I had Bournemouth. Even though I think they might play some good stuff.
Okay, nice. Virgil?
So you want to order like that or just say?
Well, it's up to you. I wasn't really saying order because it's more just about like the area you think the team will do it. You know?
I'll do it because I don't really power with it. But for that group, I see West Ham, Burnley, Brentford, and Bournemouth.
Brentford and Bournemouth. Okay. Yeah. You want?
Yeah, I had Wolves, West Ham, Everton, and Brentford.
Wolves, West Ham,
Everton, and Brentford. I think
yeah,
I think just tying it back to the relegation thing. The same thing you all said about Wolves, like very true. I think they should do enough to stay up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I have a soft spot for them too. I think West Ham as well, kind of having a shock of a window. Everton is pure hatred. But yeah, Brentford. I think the thing is the way Brentford is run, right? Like we know they kind of a plan. Like one of those clubs, kind of like how we see Brighton, where they have a lot of backups for the backups, and they have plans. And the way they run, I would like to think that they'll do enough, even though they're taking a couple steps backwards, to just maintain. So that's my optimism really behind that. But yeah.
And Nikhil, who did you have?
I had Wolves, West Ham, Brentford, and Bournemouth.
Okay, cool. So here what we'll do. I'll let everybody also give their 9 to 13th because I feel like a lot of these teams is gonna like split between those two, right? And I'll let each person take a turn to like kind of just explain maybe one team why they think they was in that zone, right? So Nikhil, give me your 9 to 13th one time now.
Forest, Fulham, Everton, Brighton, Palace.
You want?
So Fulham, Forest, Bournemouth, and Spurs.
Virgil.
Yeah, mine is same as the queue. Palace, Everton, Fulham, Brighton, Forest.
And Patrick.
Yeah, from ninth go down. Forest, Brighton, Palace, West Ham, and Everton.
Yeah, and mine was Fulham, Brighton, Bournemouth, Palace, and Everton. Okay, cool. So I actually would like to start with Brentford too. It's like I think everything Brentford do so far this summer, honestly, has been ripping my skull between sanctioning all the moves and then deciding that they're gonna promote their first team goalkeeper coach should be their first team coach, right? However, I think they have been a club that has been so well run that if they fall in that kind of category to me, if them say they're gonna do this, I back it down, right?
Yeah,
now, I do believe that they're gonna struggle, right? But I do think that because they didn't lose nobody, especially defensively, that they lost Mark Flecken, right? However, I was never really the biggest fan of the man. And in my opinion, they get an upgrade in goal because I have always been vocal about the fact that I think Kelleher is a fantastic keeper and could have been a Prem starter, which he has proven multiple times when Alisson ever got injured, right? And so I think like defensively, they'll still be there. I saw some rumor, I'm trying to remember who it was for them to sign an attack, but they're going to have Fabio Carvalho played a more prominent role this season. They're going to also still have Damsgaard as far as things look. And Shada, hopefully he can avoid injury as well. I still think that they would have enough to stay up there. And I think that's how they probably all of y'all check and nobody else had them in relegation.
Yeah.
So with that
Exactly.
on Brentford, anybody have anything they want to ask specifically on them that I may have left out?
On Brentford?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing I would say is that I think they are really well-run club since they came up, but that all has been under Frank, right?
Yeah.
I've seen them under.
Correct. Yeah.
So
No.
Sorry. No, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just saying we don't know
I
who's
think
been the driving force behind their decision.
So when they hired Frank, I had listened to this when Frank got appointed at Spurs, right? The Athletic did this piece, and essentially they were saying that like Frank was brought in from like a data point of view, right, from the owners of the club, and they also using that same approach when they vetted whatever coaches and the goalkeeper coach when he went up, that to keep that process going along. They also said that they believe like he could kind of continue some of the work that Frank does and with adding his own twist on it. So there should be some level of continuation there as well. So, but I totally agree with obviously, and you know it's the thing, right? Frank didn't just go in. The whole coaching staff besides the goalkeeper coach gone too. So it is, I think it's a gamble. And the truth is, and I think also everybody else here feels the same way, that like if it was a club that wasn't as well run as Brentford, we'd have probably let them go down. We'd have probably predicted them to go down because of how much things they lost, you know. But because of the trust of how well run that they are, So let's try Bournemouth then. Somebody who had them 14 to 17 now. Just go ahead.
I had Bournemouth there. I did change my list there, like when we were talking, but I think I had Bournemouth there. I think just the sheer volume of losses they make, it's very hard to recoup. But I think
they lost 4 out of the starting back 5 from last season. They keep on trying these standards. Yeah.
They managed to keep Semenyo, right, which is good.
Huge.
And some other big players like Utara and Clive.
As you say that was the rumor that I saw that Utara might go Brentford.
Okay, so, well, right, even so, that's a good sign. But I think, honestly, before I continue, I think I'm gonna mix up my order later on because I did change it. I forget to write it down. But just before we go in, I think with Bournemouth, I think Areola is a good enough coach to keep them afloat. That's the thing. And then who knows? The thing is too, we kind of making this in the scope of things. There's a lot of time left in transfer window. So we can see how, especially these clubs who sold. We've talked about Wolves, we talked about Brentford, and we talked about Bournemouth. These teams have made like a lot of sales, and I think we would see them kind of reinvest that money, and that could definitely propel them a little further up the table, depending on what's going on.
Cool. Yeah. Anybody want to add anything? Yeah.
Because similar like with Brentford and Bournemouth, how I feel like those two teams, they've built this foundation for like the past couple of seasons. That it has really surpassed expectations, honestly. So I feel like with the losses, they would have a drop off, but I wouldn't feel it'll be that big of a drop off. I feel like they have enough that they build over these past couple of seasons. So even if they do play it safe during the Prem, because when we look at the relegation battle, we're looking at teams that suffering like a lot serious losses, like multiple losses. I can't see them having that. They might not get as much wins as previous seasons, but they have enough there to keep them up, keep everything solid, keep everything comfortable for them to stay up.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I think. Wait, just going on Bournemouth specifically, or for another team? Because I think I mentioned.
The one thing I was going to say about Bournemouth is that I think a key thing at the same time though is like the goals is what is actually keep these relegated sides up a lot. The relegation threatened sides up a lot, as we see with Cunha last year. And I think keeping Semenyo, Evan Nielsen, Clive, all these guys is such a huge plus. And I know like the latter half of the season kind of peter out for Evan Nielsen after the injury. But pre-injury, Evan Nielsen was playing fantastic, bro. And I think now that he would get next preseason on this belt as well, I actually do expect pretty good things from him.
That's fair.
Cool. All right. Next up, why we don't go West Ham? Because I don't think, Patrick, you didn't have West Ham 14 to 17, right? So why did you think that they would finish higher up than that?
West Ham?
Yeah.
Because, well, first of all, last season, I kind of liked how they were playing. I just felt like they couldn't defend. So they couldn't, win games. But I've been watching their preseason because I'm interested in that left back that they signed. Who's, I don't know why I can't remember his name right now.
Diouf.
How much? Diouf. Yeah. And I feel like this is going to be overhyped, obviously. But I think that he what he brings, because he's really good at crossing.
He's looked good enough. He was linked to us as well.
Yeah, I really like his crossing, and it's weird that I'm going to talk about crossing as maybe a needle mover for where a team finishes in the league. But part of that, a guy like Fulkrug and could be cooking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, they went with a more central role now for Bowen, and it's been looking good. Mm-hmm. Him and Fulkrug really been popping off. And I think for those couple of reasons, I feel like they could get a lot more goals now, and I'm hoping that those goals could kind of see them through. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka had a good season last season as well. Now it seems like they're going with him in a slightly more defensive role because of that Juve guy. They kind of letting him be a bit more advanced, and I think that plays into Wan-Bissaka's strength as well, And I know Paqueta is back off his band. I think that's a big one as well.
Yeah.
So with Paqueta back, Fulkrug looking fit, Bowen more central, Juve in the mix now. I feel like they could be cooking. I really do. Yeah. And Ward-Prowse is always around there too to add in with some quality. Obviously last season didn't go well for him, but he wasn't fit for a lot of the season now. Never know how the season could go.
Patrick, what about the loss of Kudus?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big that's going to be for them, because I really like Kudus as a player, but I don't felt like they used them very well. And whenever I saw, like when I watched West Ham games last season, it felt like Kudus was kind of on his own beat. He would have to make things out of nothing. So they lost a really, really, really good player. I'm glad he got his move over as well, because big Kudus fan. But I don't think for them, in the way that they were using Kudus, I don't think they lost much. If you see
I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I think Kudus had such a strong first campaign that last season ended up being a bit disappointed. And I think obviously they have a multitude of factors, so that they even changed coach halfway through the season. I think when he get the suspension, that also kind of break his whole rhythm for the season as well. And so, but I do think it's a good move for him, and they moved on from him, and they obviously got the money for him. Anybody had Fulham in the 14 to 17 range? And also at least one person did.
Yeah, I think I had Fulham there too. I think I might have swapped them around though, but yeah, I do think Fulham will finish.
Well, Virgil, take Fulham now and tell us what you're thinking with them and what's the reasons behind it.
Now, for me, I had Fulham in the 9 to 13 bracket, but because for that, I feel like with Fulham, out of all the teams that we are listed there below, I feel like Fulham kind of have that good balance between attack and defense. I feel like for the play, they don't really get exposed too much, and I feel like they have a lot of players too, and they still have that core foundation where that have that chemistry. I feel like with Fulham, the way that they do play and the way that a lot of teams have been weakened for this first half of the season, I feel like Fulham could definitely rack up a good bit of point before teams decide to strengthen in the winter window. So that I feel like Fulham, how it is, I can't really think of if Fulham suffer any major losses or any major losses to the squad. But from the same Fulham team that I remember of last season,
a lot is rumored that Anthony Robertson might leave, and I do think that he was a big player for them, but I don't know if it might actually come to fruition.
I think one thing though, so it's not enough to kind of keep your squad though. You need to kind of make these additions. I don't think Fulham have made any good additions. They signed one player, I believe. And I think that's a big thing for them. I think they'll be comfortable in that kind of 9 to 13 as well. because I think with Marco Silva is one of the best coaches in the league. I think if they manage to support
Yeah.
him with some good signings, they could genuinely push for like we talking like top half of the
Europe
table,
and-
European, and yeah, they
So-
could. I think so. Because when they finished last season, they finished
like 10th or something there, right?
Yeah,
And I also
yeah.
share that same disposition
11th.
in the sense that, like, dog, I promise you'll very rarely find a non-Mexican fan that's a bigger fan of Raul Jimenez than I am, right? But I think like what he did last year was still so surprising. And if you expected him to repeat that this year, like, and even so, like, even Rodrigo Muniz was even rumored to leave and stuff too. And then you look at the other attacking options is Iwobi, who's my boy, but like he's not no big goal scorer. Traore, Smith Rowe, like
So,
I feel
yeah.
like there's a lot of maybes of who could score rather than somebody that I feel like you can depend on to score.
So John,
You know,
I have
but
a
because
point to
of-
that, right? But it will tie into the surprise player, and we can talk about that maybe later down the road. But yeah,
All right, cool. Well, with
Yeah.
Fulham, anybody
I'm
want to
going
add?
Traore for 25 goals.
Yes.
Only
Anybody
25?
have anything else they want to add on Fulham? No, cool, nice. No, yeah, go ahead now if you want to say something.
No, I was just gonna. I'll save it for the surprise player. That's fine.
Dekil, where did you have Nottingham Forest?
I had them 99 to 13.
Right, go through.
Bro, mid-table fodder, really and truly. They over, like not much to say about them. Like, they did really, really well last year. They had like I think Ilanga came into himself. Chris Wood had an exquisite season. Lots of players, Morgan Gibbs White was class, but I don't see it happening like that again. Ilanga has gone. I mean, they bought some players, some that I like, but I really do see it being replicated again. So much so to be as high as they were last year. But I do think they're still good enough to be higher mid-table than fighting relegation or something like that. They are a good team, but that's all they are, a good
I agree
team,
with
a
that,
decent team.
yeah. I think that you see that Elanga miss way. I think that's like a very understated look. I think Elanga is a fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. Because he was such a weapon to release the counters, you know?
He was insane last season. I think like him going and though he coming in again a very high potential player.
A decent signing, yeah. I think it is a good sign.
The other signings they've made, Angus Gunn. We all know he's a backup keeper or whatever for Cells.
The director.
Yeah, and then they
I
signed
was trying to find out James Gunn Potter, man.
I already tweeted that one. Don't worry. Anyway, I bet his dad James will be proud. Anyway, yeah, no, but the next one was they signed like 2 Brazilian players, which look like kind of money laundering kind of thing.
It does. It really does.
Gibbs White head not there. Let's be
Everyone
real. Gibbs White will probably come out strong, but I can see it being a situation where he leaves midway through the season. That's actually a possibility that it could happen. You know, he might down tools. We don't know what's gonna happen. Again, I don't think it's enough to just keep your players anymore. You need to improve, and I can't see them maintaining that kind of momentum they had. Because even towards the end of last season, they was dropping off in momentum, right?
Yeah, they did, right?
Yeah.
I think that this range we're talking about here, like what was the range 14 to
9 to
9.
4.
I don't.
14,
Well,
yeah,
he said
9
9 to 13th, and
Yeah, 9 to 14.
But the thing is, right? For me, I know somebody says just gonna end up getting revealed along the way, right? But Forest for me is my negative surprise team now. You know, because I had them 14 to 17th, and a big reason for that is that again, I'm not really that impressed with how they revamped the attack. They overperformed they actually a lot going forward, and to say like they try to really support that so that they don't need to overperform that much next year. I don't think that they did. I want to couple that with the fact that Chris Wood is getting older. Obviously, he's already 34, and what he did last year was beyond anybody's expectations. Again, are you expecting him to do that again? Couple that with the fact that they also have European football, whether it's Conference League or Europa League, we still don't know yet. But they have European football to also combat with. And when how, again, they cheated XG so much defensively, I have not seen anything to say that they have made changes to try and build on a fabulous season last year. Regardless of how it ended, it was a fantastic season, you know. But I have not seen the signings really make it. And in terms of when I made my predictions, they have had the biggest change in fortunes from where they finished last year to where I could see them being this year. So that's how they end up being my, biggest disappointment.
That's fair.
Anybody have anything on Forest that they would like to say?
I had them in a
And they
more
said it
positive
too.
light, you know.
Okay, yeah, go ahead now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to take long with it, but I thought that they would have finished 9th, and I was even debating if they might be able to sneak into like 8th, somewhere around there. Because I just think their system's so strong, man. Like I get how important losing Ilanga was, and ultimately that's why I had them down at 9th. But I feel lower than 10th would be a little harsh from what I'm thinking, just because I think their system's so strong. And there's very few teams in the top 10 that are really good at soaking pressure the way that they do and killing you on that counter-attack. And counter-attacking teams, when done well, could be very successful. And I think they've had 12 months doing it at a really high level. I don't see why they can't continue to do that.
No, I think Ndoye is a really tidy replacement for Ilanga. That PC wide outlet player. All right, 2 more teams in this category. Everton. Well, I had Everton 9th to 13th, and which is high. And again, revealing things, they are my surprise positive team. They also would have had the biggest net positive in my predictions, right? And big reason for that, Moises being there again, and he obviously stabilized them so much last year. And then also, I think they made some really tidy signings. They signed Tiano Barry from Villarreal, who had a really good season for Villarreal last year, who ended up making Champions League. They had Carlos Alcaraz on permanent. They signed a left back. They kept Branthwaite, and they also rumored to get Jack Grealish. And if they get Jack Grealish even on loan and manage to keep Ndiaye from leaving, I think that is a very, very, very strong. Oh, and they get Shrewsbury Hall from Chelsea, right? I think that's a really strong window, coupled with the fact that they have Moyes, and those two things coming together, I think could produce a really good season.
Could you imagine how hilarious it could be if they get Grealish? I'm assuming Grealish will probably play as their number 10, right? And then I don't think Shrewsbury Hall going to play in their midfield like that, so he might just move to Chelsea over to there and be on the bench.
So just bench, I get it. Yeah, no, it's true. I was thinking he could have played like deeper in I know normally Gardner and Guedes played the deeper positions, right? I was thinking he could have probably deeper when they play in teams more on their level, not when they're playing the bigger boys. I want to sit deeper and thing.
Yeah, I thought he might have been on number 10 for them, I could see him being
He did. He did start the number 10 in the preseason game that they drew lost the other day.
That's interesting then, because I really thought he would be a nice number 10 for them.
Anybody have anything else that they would like to say on Everton at all? I know 2 of you all had them lower, but I know that more like where the expectation is to Everton over the last few years, which is so crazy. 10 years ago, Everton was Lukaku and Delafeu and them and fighting for European spots to them. But
I think Everton could, what you say there makes sense, but I also think they could flatter the receive way because these rules is not good. He's good, he's alright, I guess. Grealish kinda when last Grealish really moved you away? Virgil, when last you see Grealish coming on the field for City and you was like, yes, no.
I do think to that point though, Grealish, that's because he in City and Pep is the winger killer. But in a team where he most likely going to get
more freedom
to play how he does normally play, I think it might look way better.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think the injuries, the age, maybe, and the thing is, Grealish is not a fitness and performance focused kind of individual.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Oh, the man like he the car.
So me too, but it's not professional football. But another thing with Everton have a kind of I could fix him kind of. They love that. They love to look at players who might be and kind of, and I respect that. But at the same time, I mean, I'm talking from a purely hater point of view. But
all right, so let me move up then. Anybody want to say anything about Brighton? We all have.
I have Brighton high up.
I have a lot to say about Brighton, but mine is very biased.
Okay. Likewise.
And it's very biased.
What? Say it fast then. What
is you see my name? That's all I had to say.
Oh.
No, so why you want Brighton? Why you think Brighton gonna be high if they're losing Believer?
I have them
Because they'll
9 to
just
15
sign
because
somebody
I
else.
think they are a
They'll
better
just sign
version of
somebody else for
Brentford.
$2 million.
They are
I
Like,
better.
genuinely
no.
think they are a better version of
Not
Brentford.
necessarily
So
a
like the
better
same reasons
version,
you're
but
saying, like Brentford, Brentford is just a well-run club. I think Brighton is just a level above that. So
Yeah.
Brighton is
yeah,
like,
they could sell everybody in 11 right now and still run the same place with nobody that we know.
yeah.
Just because they just do that well.
No, I get what
No,
you're saying.
no,
I get
it's
what
true.
you're
It's true. All right, cool, nice. All right, cool. Let me move up to 6 to 8 now. So let me just. I know this is where we'll probably go get into the meat of things more. Why are you watching me confused? So what I say wrong? I say 6 to 8. Asking you one that thing, okay? He look real confused just now.
The what? I listen to you.
Okay, right. So we're going 6 to 8, and I know this is money meat of it, but let me just get everybody own out there fast, and then we can get into it, right? So mine was no order. I truly don't know. Newcastle, Spurs, and Man United was my three. The kill.
Mine is Villa, United, Newcastle.
Interesting.
Villa, United, Newcastle. Okay, you won.
No, I just realized I list 4, so that means I put Fulham in that kind of brackets that I gave before.
Right.
But anyway, I put Newcastle, Villa, and Brighton in that case.
Newcastle,
wait, hang
Villa.
on. I mean, I miss Palace, but I had Palace to be kind of in the
Before.
last brackets or this bracket because I
we didn't talk about Palace, but Palace we
Yeah.
high mid-table guys. You know, it just is what it is.
Yeah, that is.
So what is your three you on between 16?
Villa, Newcastle, and Brighton.
You called Spurs already.
Yeah, he
I
did.
put
there.
And I don't know why nobody stopped because he just rattled
Nobody
off
fly out.
Spurs.
Nobody fly out.
He rattled off Spurs. I was like, wait, what?
Well now self we can
Spurs.
spend back to that. We'll spend back to that. Virgil, what's your three?
And my three is United, Newcastle, Villa.
And Patrick, what's your three, bro?
Newcastle, United, and Spurs in that order.
All right, so we have the same one. Okay, cool. So let me get into it, right? So for me, I will say this now. It has, by the time this go out, it will have 20 days left in the window, and he could still leave or whatever. But honestly, right now, I think Newcastle will manage to keep Isak somehow. Not somehow. They'll just tell him
Right now,
he's not
so I
going.
can revisit it in 3 days.
However, I'm well aware that most likely that he is going, right? But as of right now, it doesn't. He there, and they don't have to sell him because they had 3 years left for the deal.
You know what's my response to that way, John?
I didn't ask you for a response for that, right? But my disposition has always been that they would have not sell him. They was gonna give him a new contract, give him the money he want, and then give him a release clause so that next year it had no fight up, he can just go when he want to.
The man don't reject 2 contract offers.
And as I was saying, I didn't ask yet, but when I asked, he can tell me then. Taps.
Oh, sorry, I forget he's an Arsenal-bound player. So.
No, you forget that I am KJU, and when it is that I talking, you'll wait your turn, right? So,
great leader, right?
But being for real, though, I think Newcastle will be in this range. One, because I think Eddie Howe would learn from the last time of being in Champions League and trying to manage the league. And I think last time they did try to compete in the Champions League at the expense of the league. Whereas now, I don't think he'll take that same risk. You know, I still think that he'll try to manage the league better, even if it means that, well, they finish, if he lucky, in the playoff stages of the Champions League when the league table come and go, right? But I think adding Ilanga to the style of player they want to play is really good. I think that they looked at Adwisa as well, which should also be good. They now sign something, Theo, I can't remember his first name, from AC Milan, to secure the centre back depth as well. They also seem to be keeping Livramento as well. So amidst losing a world-class player like Isak, even if they lose him, I still think they'll be fine. They won't be back in Champions League spots, but they'll be fine. And I still think that keeps them a bit above the rest of the pack. And even if they do lose Isak, I think that nobody they can bring in can replicate what he does. He's literally one of the best strikers in the world, you know? But it will still have enough goals there to keep them above being mid-table for that and being some European competition next season. So, yeah. Anybody else on Newcastle? And here, what to do from here going out? When it is that you speak on the team, just say again the range that you had them. They had them in. I know we say in 68, but so like when we reached this one talking about Spurs, he had to reiterate that he had them 13 to 17, right? So yeah, anybody else on Newcastle?
The only thing I just add for the Newcastle thing to what you say is, and well, Newcastle this time around in Champions League, I feel like with the new format, I feel like it would also favor them. That way they was, we did not expect them to finish at 1-8, but I feel like they would be able to spread out the games, be able to balance a lot better. And again, same as what you're saying, I feel like even if they do lose Isak, I feel like they would be able to find a replacement. It would not be a like and I, because you really can't replace somebody like Isak.
Yeah, you can't replace that.
But we're looking at the midfield. They still have a lot of quality in that midfield. They still have a lot of energy and a lot of pace. And who knows? This could be Jacob Murphy season.
No, Jacob Murphy season was last year. However, since we are Newcastle, right? If it is actually just get it off the chat, dog, Alexander Isak is not well advised, dog, right? This brother should have come out like a month before that he did and say that he wanted to leave. He could have already been in Liverpool, in it. But this man waits until the week that they sign Ekitike to be like,
to that point, I genuinely believe he was fine until the rumors come along. I think he had in his head that he was gonna stay.
I think he
until the rumors came around, and then he decided, well, you know what? Like he panicked. He just decided, you know what? I'm gonna try to leave.
No, because
it don't make sense.
It was not smart. It was not smart.
He could have done this from the start of the window.
And before this one tried to spin it, how he wanted to spin it, he knows that this was not smart enough. Because either way, dog, he could have been the committee shield already, but nah, dog. He wait till all the teams who sign strikers sign their striker, then to say whatever. Because again, Yuan is going to spin it how he wants to spin it, right? They're more than likely going to still get Isak along with Ekitike, right? If it is at the end of the window come and they sign the two of them and they don't sign an actual winger, he would not say it in public platforms. He might not even say it in a message. He might send it in a view once, and that's the only way I'll get to see it. But he would admit to himself that he would have preferred that they sign Isak and an actual winger rather than signing two strikers.
That is Alexander Isak we're talking about. Why are we?
Yes, and you see, he listed to what I said, didn't I? I am saying that he would have rather signed Isak and an actual winger than having Isak and Ekitike. It would have made way more sense. And he is lying to himself. He is lying to himself.
Oh, you telling me I'm lying to myself? I'm telling you what I think. I think we should sign a centre back.
Well, clearly.
Yeah, boy, clearly.
No, but like left winger, I mean, it is what it is. If we sign one, we sign one. I want to see if it happens. I don't really think it's like a very, like, as high priority as building it out. I think the centre back is more priority. But yeah,
I don't think it's as big a need as. But I mean, like, in terms of like balancing out the attack now.
I think one thing, I do think one thing, like Salah losing pace is a bit of a concern.
But no.
We
don't do that. Yeah, we do that.
But like what
but
Newcastle is, you're talking about the midfield here, but they do have a kind of injury situation in the midfield right now with Willock. So they're
it's crazy
right now, right? Which is Gumarish, Tonali, and Joelinton, and then obviously Miley. So I mean,
who?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. I do think they might catch a little pressure to maintain that, but they should still finish in a European spot. You would think so. And John, you want to pivot to Spurs so I could talk about Spurs one thing?
Well, Patrick, you have anything you want to say about Newcastle, bro?
Yes, I did not realize fucking Joe Willock was injured. I have to move them lower now because how this will, oh my god, so I'll have to readjust my list probably for them in the relegation, to be honest.
No, Patrick's also panicked by that. He's like,
like I have to.
They might be in the relegation.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Hey.
I feel Isaac might stay, to be honest.
Same, bro.
we were saying.
Alright, I'm gonna take a picture of these men who think
But no, you see, he taking it as like anything to do with Liverpool. I think this is completely out of Liverpool's hand. In fact, Liverpool have the money. They have they just sell Diaz and they sell Nunes. It has nothing to do with Liverpool. It has everything to do with the fact that Newcastle in a position where they can just dig.
Yeah, Newcastle can literally just bad mind him and
yeah,
not sell him and have him out.
PSR. Newcastle have
is-
problems with PSR. They had to make a sale. And they want to buy new players.
But why have
they
it
didn't
him?
even.
Who the hell sell?
Nobody take
They
it.
can't buy.
Yeah, but you want. The PSR problem is not even that bad because they didn't sign anybody last year and now they get Champions League money. But Patrick was trying to talk before you and cut him off.
No,
Yes, Patrick.
Oh, the thing with the Isak thing, I feel like it more gonna be like pull on his heartstrings type of thing because I feel like he comfortable at Newcastle. At least the videos that I seen, he looked like a comfortable kind of dude over there. I do think it's gonna be hard for them to convince him to just rock back for one more season and then move on.
Have you seen the reports of the Patrick? Like the man has been like very aggressively.
Yeah, he hasn't gone to training. But
he dragged to these thing.
Nah, but honestly, no, I'm not saying that it can't happen, and I do think that the odds are in the public spaces that it would happen. But I think logically, it get enough that he can just stay, you know. And you know the thing too, if it is that they didn't sign Wisa, but they had signed a more expensive man at Africa, I think, well, all right, well, they prepare for the man to leave.
Well, the talk is like Jackson, right?
Bro, that is the most rubbish thing, you know. I partly think Nick Jackson is absolute garbage, you know. And I have defended that I don't think the man is garbage.
Wait,
but 80 million? 80 million?
Now. I thought you were going to be like,
I don't know.
He think Jackson is trash, so he must be trash. So he said it, but you know, we go into that.
No. I say that like I don't think that he that bad. But 80 million, dog? 80?
Do you rate Patrick, you don't rate him or like what? Like I don't know.
Nah,
okay.
Nah, he think it's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a really, really bad, just all around, just footballer. He's bad. He's
a dog in him.
All right, guys, cool. Let me go on to Spurs, right? So this one had Spurs finishing lower than everybody else. Why does your had Spurs that low, bro?
Boy,
I have concerns about Spurs too, so go
the
ahead.
thing is, I'm very critical of Spurs because I like them most. Before the one Spurs fan in Trinidad, who in our group see this and he get vexed, I feel like he'll understand. Like I just think we need to strengthen in different areas. I think the signings they've made so far, like I like Kudus. I think like is a good thing. Losing Son is, I know obviously Son didn't play as big a role.
Emotionally is a big loss.
It's a crazy thing, and I think Paulinho, he's good to paper some cracks over, but he did give away a penalty in his first appearance for them against Bayern this week. I do think they'll do I think they'll hover around Europe. I think they'll probably finish in a Europa League spot. Maybe I said I just for shock value, maybe a lower like 9th, right? But yeah, I think it will be a challenge for them to kind of adjust to Frank's football. And then one thing with Frank, I think under Brentford, while he might not have gotten he's also we talk about the system and how Frank was the guy in charge, but he's also a big beneficiary of the system, right? They have the data, they get these people to Frank to play his style. I'm not sure if Spurs will be as forthright, because one thing, if Spurs coming in for a player, it's gonna be a higher price point than Brentford, and Daniel Levy is famous for not really pulling on the coffers maybe as much as he should. I do like this youth man is signed Vuskovic, I think his name is Luka Vuskovic. He's clean, but I do think it'll be tough for them to kind of transition that. To me, that jump one time might be a little tough, especially with Son going. I think it's gonna be a bit of a leadership crisis potentially as well. Romero obviously I think is taking the reins, right? But he's a hot head too. So while I do think they can definitely push for it, there are things we kind of glazing over.
For me, I think I have concerns over who doing the goal scoring, but I do think that everything defensively and midfield wise, from playing them in preseason as well, he has a lot of those coaching the tactical setup for out of possession down already.
Yeah,
and it's more just about the goals. And one of my shock positive players or surprise players is a Spurs player, but I'll get into that later. But I do think it's more just about finding where these goals going to come from. And if it is like he gets Solanke to turn into Ivan Toney for season, and get Kudus and these guys firing, I do think that they could
And
do
tell,
pretty
about
well.
tell.
But like the only reason I didn't put them even higher was just because, again, I just wasn't sure where all the goals would have come from. So, yeah. Anybody else on Spurs?
Well, don't the Ivan Toney take like same. Looking at how I was looking at it, I was like, I was more so looking at for Solanke, looking at for the sign of Tells. I find if he could manage to get the best out of him, I find Thomas Frank could have a dangerous player and for the attack. And for me, although when we talking for Spurs, I know I could speak for every City fan where, unlike everybody else who was sad and crying when Son leave, I was the happiest in the world when I realized I no longer have to go up against Son. But I am very concerned about Kudus, and I feel like with his pace and directness that they have,
Yeah,
I really feel that he could be could slot in and replace him.
cool. All right. Anybody else for Spurs? Or we could go on to the mighty Reds of Manchester.
Go move on, man.
All right. So, it's no other place to start than when Mr. Hippolyte himself.
Yeah, there are literally 4 other places to start.
You didn't put United in this? You didn't put United
I did, but I mean...
No, but you had to start. You have to start. First of all, if I could just ask the pod for 1 second to just give you a little small clap for the Rebuilding United pod that we did, because we get so many links on point, and they actually signed somebody who's went to.
Yes.
So,
Right now we're probably on the sign and all cylinders right now.
the only person who I get linked yet is Unai Simon and V. What's the man name?
And Ferran Torres.
The keeper. And Ferran Torres. Who's the keeper?
And Banja.
Yes, Malcolm Savage. Yes.
Yeah. Everybody else, I think we had like a link to United.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, how you feeling going to this season, Nikhil, and why you think 6 to 8 is where you'll finish?
I mean, this will kind of get into my surprise positive. I genuinely do think United is not going to be as terrible as it was last year. And it's going to be shocking.
Truly.
It's going to be shocking because of how bad we look last year. I think United, I mean, I'm definitely not one of those fans who just like, yeah, United great all the time. I'm not one of them fellas. But I do think there's a small difference in how United were executing things in preseason than how they were trying to do it last year. And I think we're going to be able to play a little bit better. People are going to be pleasantly surprised that, hey, United actually looking okay. Now, that definitely don't mean we're going to be pulling up any trees. And I think, like, we're going to challenge for the Champions League or them kind of thing, like even cut it close. But I do think we're going to be much better in general, especially because, I mean, the squad that we currently have is not a 15-place squad. I think Amar, and I genuinely do think Amarim is that bad that he can't get a tune out of them now that he have so many players that he want. He ships so many players that he don't want. Let's see.
That's
Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
That's an interesting one because I feel like, to be fair, I did take off my phone for like a couple of seconds to blow out a candle. But as soon as I came back, I heard something that kind of aligned with what we've been saying, which is that United not going to be that bad. But how does not that bad take you from 16?
Because I genuinely do think the team is not the quality of players in the team. I genuinely do think even in another bad season is going to be that low. Like, I do think it was somewhat of an anomaly, and I think 6 to 8 is fair. And when I say 6 to 8,
it's not anomaly, bro. It was trash. It was hot trash, bro. It was hot trash.
I tend to agree, but it's probably on the lower. It definitely on the lower end. So like, yeah, the script, 8 or something like that.
No, but no, let me read, right? Let me read, right? Dog. Avoiding relegation this season would be a good season for them. Avoiding relegation.
I think
right. Go ahead.
I think they will.
I think they will too. I do agree though with you, Nikhil. I think that there's a lot of positives for them this season. I think they would get a whole preseason with getting to learn each other back system. And I do think that they signed some really interesting attackers. However, my one point of concern is that first of all, I am on record that I had one Sesko at Arsenal, right? So I obviously do rate him. I rate Cunha as well. I rate Mbeumo as well as individuals, right? There's a difference when it is that you have to combine together and also the system and all those things, right? But one area of concern. And Mbeumo and Cunha were the two players who overperformed the XG the most last season, right?
Mhm.
For reference, 2 seasons ago then, the highest overperformers in the league were Phil Foden overperforming by +9, Hudson Odoi overperformed by +5, Mateta +5, Son +5, and sadly no longer with us is Diogo Jota, who was on +5. Right? The season to come afterwards, his actually dropped Foden, but to +1.2 from +9. Cho +5 to +1.2. Mateta +5 to +0.9. Stun to +5 to underperforming by 0.2, and Jota is the same thing. All
How
this
many
to say
goals
is
did
that
he score? What's the goals looking like?
well, we all know that I could actually go and check it if you want, but like we all know that from the season before this to last season, all those players except Mateta scored less than they scored the season before. You know, Foden was insane 2 seasons ago, wasn't great last year. Son, insane 2 seasons ago, wasn't that great last year.
Son has been always like the most.
Always, yes. So for him, it's a
a
career thing, right? Just like Salah and stuff like these players are career actually overperforming. But like my point is though, is like we do see that players who aren't career actually overperformers like that do experience some dip off now. Now I do think that they are that good that even with United curse, it shouldn't be that bad. But I do think that there is some tempering of expectations that yes, you signed somebody who scored 15 last year. Yes, you signed somebody who scored 20 last year. To expect automatically that is what you're going to get from them, you know, is a bit high now, you know. And I think it's a bit unfair too, you know, given that there's different systems and stuff coming into this as well. You know, you're going from United, where Bruno is the ultimate main man. Like, what they're like, no, that is the truth. Whereas at the other two clubs, everybody finding Mbeumo for everything, everybody finding Cunha for everything. That just is what it is, you know, and there's some adjustment to those things also. So those were my concerns, but I did have them up there as well because I do think that they should still perform really, really well.
Feel so too, man. I feel it'll be a nice season. Sorry, go ahead.
Nikhil, John, I'm surprised I didn't pick up, but I actually haven't said United yet because I think they'll finish in the top 5.
Nice. Okay.
Interesting.
I know a few people said Villa, but we'll get Villa when we go into the top 5 ones. But the other thing I was gonna say, Nikhil, is just like if you only get Believer, then yeah, though. But if not, I see some of the preseason highlights, bro. It's a sip.
And like I say, I've been honest, right? United is going to experience the exact same issues that they experienced last year. Out of possession. So transition defense and stuff like that is going to be a problem, especially when you're relying on Bruno, who is naturally going to want to push forward more. And between Casemiro, Casemiro is finished. Ugarte is okay. Ugarte is an okay player, but the way our system is right now, it is not conducive to help him at all. And I don't believe any combination of Mainu, any team that do have Bruno in it is not going to be good. And so the mixture of the midfield is going to be a problem. A player like Baleba is going to help with that. But I do think our major problem, if you're being honest, is the ability to score goals. And I think we attempted to solve that. So if we're able to solve that, I think we're going to climb a little bit.
I know, and the thing is, like, I said this last year, right? And friend of you and accused me of being biased and whatever. But I said, like, last year, United attacked the right profiles, you know, but the persons that they brought in were the wrong persons now. You know, with like Ugarte and Xerxes and stuff like that. They were the right, but now dog, I can't dispute any of those because they were all objectively good signings. And they were all signings that like we would have wanted to see elsewhere. I don't personally agree with the combo of Cunha and Mbeumo, but I still think there is scope for it to work. Just
But
again from
Spin that because it's gonna come to my hot take. But go ahead.
all right,
I
cool,
think
nice.
before we cut off though, I just want to say why I think they're getting top five. I think it's a combination of United being very hard to kill throughout the years. They're always letting down and out, and then they end up coming. And that's just like there's a club, and I think the individual quality as well, as you mentioned, goal scoring. Regardless of like the overperformance of XG, like Mbeumo and Cunha are gonna come up with some goals. Sesko, I think they pay way too much money for him, but again, he should come up with some goals. I think it will culminate in like a little, like you look at the end of the season, you might be like, "Oh, how the hell United scrape into that top five?" Where like it genuinely feels like that, like a sickening kind of vibe. That being said, I hope they get relegated, but yeah.
Cool. Let me go into the top five then. So this time though, we go in order. So in fifth place. No, so we'll go fifth all the way up, right?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So fifth place, I have Chelsea. Patrick, who you have fifth?
The all top for that one, brother. Villa.
Virgil, who you have?
Spurs.
Yuan, who you had fifth?
United
and Dikin.
Tottenham.
Did we have five in the front?
Yeah,
no.
Virgil and Descartes.
Oh, that would have been so cool though. All right. Well, I mean, you all already spoke about why you all think. Anything else you all want to add on Tottenham? Because we didn't really talk about it before, but you want to add anything else between you two or there? Anyone all like to go?
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. I want to say if you want.
I asked you two most passive, man. To be like, well, what all they go?
Nah, I say if you want somebody different. Other team in red in London, I could possibly go in fifth, you know. But
shut up,
going to Spurs.
God, I despise you. I was one. Dog, I didn't have the one time slot you say you couldn't make it, and I was going. I say it all. I just do it there. But go ahead.
Nah, but I feel like Spurs. I feel like how Spurs have been playing. We're talking about a team that's hard to kill with United. I feel it's similar to Spurs. Going back to say Spurs are a team that also do have a balance. I feel like one thing I'll always commend Spurs is the defense and how stubborn the defense can be on the day. And with the attacking firepower they have, I feel like they have enough there to, you know.
So Virgil hot take is Solanke scoring 20 guys. That is Virgil hot take.
I was talking about tells, you know. But I feel like Spurs have enough.
The kill. Anything on that on Spurs? Anything more positive?
Not really. The only thing I'd say is that I probably kind of disagree with what you said in why they would kind of be bad. I genuinely think they would be much better than he would predict. I think Thomas Frank is a good manager, so
very good.
I see where you're coming from. Like, it makes sense to me. I just being a bit negative, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm.
Aston Villa. Patrick, give me something now.
Dog, that light in your room so bad that you had to put on that. Anyhow, right? So
when you want the camera, no?
I bet. I do it then. Villa. Nah, I think Villa are a really good team. I had them in fifth because I'm not sure what's going to happen with Watkins. So I kind of wanted to just sit on defense a little bit and play it safe. But I could definitely see them breaking into the top four as well, even though I have them fifth. They just look really safe and secure, and Marlon seems to be coming into his own form now, and Rodgers, this is going to be his second season. I think he could platform to have an even better season. I actually think Ollie Watkins is going to be better than he was last season also. And if he's better than last season, that's a pretty good player. And I like their system a lot. Unai is a good coach. So simple and short, I back them to finish top 5.
Nice. You already spoke about United, Johan. So the last one will be Chelsea. And we did this with the presumption that fifth would also be a UCL spotter as well. But I had Chelsea fifth. I think that it was a toss-up between them and Villa. So Villa was my fourth place team. But I think that Chelsea, it still feels like Chelsea has spent a lot. But like, you watch the team and I still don't feel super blown away by
He
it.
was claiming Carragher for saying that.
And I don't really care. Colwell out for the season now as well, which is really tragic. Fitch Street mash up the man. The centre back and goalkeeper duo, I still think holds back what they could do to match what Palmer and now João Pedro and stuff could do going forward. I thought Neto was actually really impressive in the Club World Cup. I thought he was probably the best player, honestly. He was really, really good throughout the entire tournament. And I think that there is a lot of firepower that could do well there, but I do think that the lower part of the spine rather, could be the downfall. Plus, now, all the time last year, when they make top four, right, they was doing that playing a B team in Europe. They can't do that this year with Champions League. And what does their B team really say when it is that the B team actually has to supplement the first team when they can't get the week off, So I do have some concerns there, but I think Palmer is one of the best players in the league. And I think between him and João Pedro, they really having a nice link start to the form there. And Neto and one of Gittins or whoever else that they might sign, or the 4 players they might sign between now and the end of the window, could get a nice attack going there. So, yeah. 4th place now. So, next way around. The queue, we are in 4th, bro.
It's very get interesting. I have City in 4th.
Who?
City. I have City in 4th. And let me tell you why. I don't see City being better than the was last year. I mean, I know a large part of it is because of Rodri not being there. So he was a key cog in how the system runs and stuff like that.
I think it was. I know you want to run. But I still want to get everybody else first, and then I'll let you run. Who you have 4th, you on?
I have Chelsea.
Virgil, who you have 4th?
I have Arsenal.
I know he was gonna do that today. Without a shadow of a doubt, I know he was gonna do that today. I know the fight. I'm not even the one who put City in 4th today. Patrick, who you have in 4th?
Virgil, I gotta give my bounce for that one because I have Arsenal.
Yeah, boy. No ball,
in 4th, I have Villa in 4th. I kill. Go ahead and run.
Yeah, I don't see City. I see City being just as bad as I was to say. So much so that they're gonna look just as bad. Haaland is probably gonna do. He's probably gonna look the same, which is still good because it's Haaland, but it's not going to be explosive as it was in his first season. Now that De Bruyne is gone, not that De Bruyne was that important in their season last year, but he's still a big factor. I know they would have brought in Turkey and stuff like that, but I just don't see City being as good. I think it's time for Pep to,
Fair enough.
Hold that last one, because we are hot takes to call later on the line. You want who you had 4th again? Why Chelsea?
Yeah, I actually wanted to make a point on Villa, like just attack back on it a little bit. But I mean, it's just 30 seconds. But one thing with Villa, and the reason I have them actually below this, I have them in kind of Europa League spots, is because I don't think they make any good additions either. Like Gassand is like a good signing, but I think again more quality is needed. I'm not.
For me, a big thing was that they retain their talent actually.
So far,
like,
yeah.
So, but like I mean, where Watkins gonna go, bro? Morgan Rogers, where he gonna go? Like they kept the 2 of them.
To know, like to replace Isak if Isak left.
That's a big question. He's been a big name called. That's one thing. Yeah. I mean, I do think though, Emery should carry them, but we'll see. I think they should.
I don't know, boy. I think the fact that they kept so much, man. They kept I still don't understand how they kept Onana. Like they kept Onana, they kept Yuri, they kept Morgan Rogers.
I think one of the other big points. I mean, I'll switch to Chelsea now, but I have another thing for Villa later. So yeah, but with Chelsea, I mean, you said Pedro Neto was one of the best players in the Club World Cup. I think the Q will agree that you could not tell me that that Joe Cole was probably the best player in the Club World Cup because I didn't watch any of that, so I have no idea who play what. But yeah, I mean, I think like Pedro looks pretty good so far preseason. I do think they have a question again. They spend the money. It should align this season. They managed to scrape fourth, right? And I can't see them like not doing it again, just with all the hardships suffered by other teams around in and around the area, right? And to add to your point, I do see the major obstacle being how they cope with the Champions League, as they no longer get to rest the players to that extent, right? So basically echoing your points, really.
Yeah, and like for me too,
Yeah.
fourth and fifth was a toss-up between those two.
And
like,
this season was a toss-up. It was the end of the season.
Yeah.
That last game that changed about 3 or 4 times, right? So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any one or two all you want to go ahead and make all your Arsenal point. Patrick, go first. Go first. He own more than be hit.
Right. Okay.
Phil. So Patrick, go first.
I promise you, mine is not hater filled. This is how I genuinely feel. Yeah, man. Let's start with the system. I've been very vocal about I like the system. I'm not a fan that it hasn't changed over 5, 6, how many other seasons. I know
you watched any of the preseason, my chance?
I did, and I still feel like
the full games.
A lot of the same halves. Yeah, I don't. To be fair, there's no team that I'm not even Barcelona. I don't watch any full preseason games. I think a half is enough to see what's going on systematically, and to be honest, 10 minutes is enough to see what's going on systematically. But I'll just watch the half just to nail it down. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. From what I've seen preseason, it seems like they're experimenting with fullbacks, trying to get forward a bit more. I think that's an absolute farce. I don't expect him to do that when the season starts. I'm ready to be proven wrong, though. I think he's going to go back to his regular style of build-up. And then the marquee signing, I don't think that's a marquee signing. I don't believe in Gyökeres at all. I think that his first game seemed about right. He got 2 or 3 chances, missed all. He scored an okay-ish goal for the opener. But I mean, our goal is a goal, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm not a fan of his overall play. I don't think he's the man that Arsenal needed at all. And I think it's going to be really interesting when teams are sitting back against Arsenal, how he's going to do. Because he's not phenomenal in the air. He scores a lot of penalties, I know that for sure. He is a decent finisher, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I'm not a believer of how he's going to finish in a chaotic box. From most of the goals I've seen with him at Sporting, it's kind of been more one-on-ones. I'm not sure how much one-on-ones Arsenal could create for him. I will say Saka has been looking good though. And I do like Saka as a player. But I don't think it's enough to carry them onto the top 3. Not with how the other teams looking, I should say like that. So it's not so much about me hating Arsenal or whatever. I think the other 3 teams that are above them are genuinely stronger. And again, I ready to be proven wrong. But I feel like 4th with 10th would lead into the Arteta sacking. And that could be a nice little rebuild. Not even a rebuild, just a more experienced man to come in and take them to the top. Because I think Arsenal need a more experienced coach now to just get them into that spot where the squad deserves to be. Really, really talented squad. Really good system. It just need a little tweaks. I don't believe in Arteta. That's me personally.
And
you
before
can add anything of sense?
Yes. Before you comment, so you can comment on everything on a whole, just like what Patrick said.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I am not really that sold on your career. Trust me,
You meet the man, mate.
What happened there?
I feel he is a very good player.
I didn't do that.
But honestly, I feel like when it comes down to the 2 strikers that Arsenal linked, I really feel like Arsenal really should push for Sesko. I feel like that was Arsenal. I feel like that was Arsenal number 1 pick, and they should have pushed because from what I've seen, because I haven't watched all Arsenal preseason, but from the ones I've seen, it seems like a lot of crossing Arsenal trying to do. And Gyökeres is not that good. He's not really an area player. He is good, as Patrick mentioned, one-on-one. He has that. He could explode past players and create that little half space and score. And also coming down to the penalties. Yeah, and also just coming down to the penalties. But I really feel we looking at how Arsenal playing. I feel like they just need to tweak bit because I feel like using that. I feel like just using that style of play that they have
Finish faster.
with that relying on cross, and I feel like it's not going to work. And also now adding to the manager, I feel like Arteta is very stubborn. I do not feel like Arteta is going to change. He's going to try his best, and I am not. I don't know this will be a hot take, but I am pretty sure by December we're going to see Moreno back on top, and we're going to see his reliance on bringing trying to do that craziness, throwing the midfielders to play striker, because them with a strike like Gyökeres, I do not feel I don't feel they have it down here.
Cool, nice. Did I talk about Villa already? Well,
No.
we more or less covered Villa anyway, but I think Villa would be more or less it. All right, cool, nice. So going up to third place now. Well, we could go reverse order. So I have City in third. Nikhil, who you have in third?
Chelsea.
Nice. Okay. You have City third, Arsenal third, you on? Because I know where we come down to. City.
Yeah.
Patrick, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
And Virgil, Chelsea.
Nah, City into.
Oh, bad.
Okay. Well, I had City into because of a lot of things the Kiel did state. But one thing he didn't say that I want to reiterate that I think is absolutely a huge thing, especially coming from the perspective of, unfortunately, having to be in title races with them. I have said this before, and I will say this a million times over. To me, one of the main reasons that we didn't get past them was the unfortunate existence of that ginger-headed brother. Right? Now, thankfully, he is now gone. One of the greatest demises I've ever seen. Right? However, even last season and all, there's still such a reliance on him, not just from a footballing point of view, a creative point of view, but like a presence point of view. Just De Bruyne being on the field just raised what they were capable of now. And I think that there's such a huge mantle that he held even in his weaker years that they still defaulted to him in a lot of ways. Now, I think that is obviously an attempt to change that. There's a lot more ball carriers, there's a lot more dribblers in this team. But I still think that there is two big questions to answer, which is one, can we get a consistent line of chance creation to Haaland? Which I still think that even with the players that they have there, that none of them really is a high volume chance creator. And there's still some adjustment there to get them to do that. Even though, I think Turkey is an amazing talent, I wouldn't say that, he is out and out a chance creator, but more that he is just a fantastic footballer that could add a lot to all the parts of the attack, whether it is goal scoring, whether it's just dribbling, whether it's creating. And then the other side of it is Rodri's already missing the start of the season. It's looked like he's going to have another stop-start season coming back from this injury as well. He's also getting older. And there is the defensive side of the concerns. They're going into the season with Matthias Nunes at right back. That is a choice. And then, the centre-back choices also, even the ones who did have good seasons in them, like Ake, like Akanji, are not at where they were always at. And so while the average performance of what they still would do is obviously really high, it is still Pep, it's still Haaland. I still think that there is a lot of questions to be answered there. And I think that a lot of the problems that, as Nikhil said, that they did bump up to last year, that they will run into some of those again this year. Somebody else had City too. Which you on? Go ahead now, you on.
Yeah, I think it's a combination with Chelsea. They'll need Reinders to kind of step up real high.
Yeah, for sure.
With Rodri.
Yeah,
Turkey's a good sign of people, but again, is I think one thing I found kind of funny with City is they actually are not playing any preseason games because of the Club World Cup.
They played one yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, just one game, right? So
that's
another thing. That ramp up of intensity is something that I've kind of discussed offline quite a lot, and I think we might see, the fallout of that as things progress, and that will affect how teams start the season definitely.
I left out that, but that also was a point that I had with Chelsea and with City.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, I mean, is honestly your company basis. I think when you look at City before and you kind of see, Kevin De Bruyne and obviously Haaland is still there, but the fear factor maybe not as much. That being said, no, Pep Guardiola hasn't, had his chance to kind of put these people out and make you watch them play, right? Foden, I think, is somebody who the expectation going into like when you think about Kevin De Bruyne leaving City, the expectation was Foden is going to be the man to pick up that mantelpiece, and then you see it now, like it doesn't seem like that's the case, right? So I think it'll take another time for them to kind of adjust, and again, it could be a situation as the heel said, where maybe Pep's time coming to a close, not necessarily like he getting sacked, but maybe it's just time to freshen up because things changing. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think lastly to add to that, I think like, and would you like if you could like come, what we saying, and then talk about, okay, you had
Yeah.
Chelsea too, right?
No, that's it.
No, City too, right? All right, cool. Yeah. So like the other thing too is like I think like when I watch a lot of City attackers, obviously Haaland is like the number one case of this, but almost all of them want to receive in the final to do the final pass or to score, But like, so what do you think about Marmoush, scorer? Haaland, obviously a scorer. Foden's strengths is to score, and I think like there's a lot of that with the team rather than, okay, well, how we putting them in positions to score and who giving them the ball in when they're facing these deep blocks, when it is that they're facing the compact teams, who feeding them the ball, So yeah, Virgil, go ahead now.
Yeah, because honestly, I feel like the best City sides has always been a team that had an existing core before, and I feel like when you had the likes of like mentioned with De Bruyne, even going back when I had David Silva, the new signings that came in, they kind of slotted alongside these core players. Feel right now with Rodri being out, that's the only person I could see as a core player, and we look at Haaland as well. But to get that link between Rodri and Haaland is obviously so far apart. And bringing in these new players and expecting them to hit the ground running is going to be kind of, that's going to be unrealistic to have, because we're looking at everybody they're trying to supply Haaland, but also we really are trying to address adding in more goals from outside the box. I felt like we did that to somewhat, but that issue that we mentioned before, defense was always an issue, and then adding Ryan Nori, who's also an attacking player, not addressing the right back situation. We still at the same position how he was. I feel like with how City is and with the new signings, don't get me wrong, it's quality signings that we made, but going on to Pep's tactic is very heavily reliant on a lot of those players who are up in age, and we don't have that pace even there, and we just don't. I feel like we just don't have that link there, and bringing these players to try and create this link. I think I'm seeing that's showing that okay. We
all heard that, you are.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just make it sure.
Yeah.
It is something.
You jump a little bit in, Virgil, but you're good. Okay. You're good.
Yeah. I just say I feel like there's nobody I can really look to and be like, okay, going out in gaming, I have to put my full confidence in them, other than Haaland. But I feel like if you're not really supplying Haaland and not really getting to Haaland, it's not really gonna make sense.
And I think like just I don't know you say that too, is like you realize like most of these concept 11s, it really don't have none of the older guard. So then like there's a responsibility falling there too now. Like nobody having Bernardo Silva in the 11. Like, he's been a stalwart at the side, right? But nobody want to play him,
But Bernardo Silva being captain too is, how he already show where Pep mindset is. Pep already, and we know we keeping Kovacic, so Pep is definitely going to be heavy reliance on the Man City retirement home players.
Patrick, you on the kill Chelsea. Why so high? You would have both of y'all have them the highest. So why y'all have them so high?
Kind of. I feel like you already did the argument for me, because you gave a great.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. I love when people do my work. And the only thing is that so the only part I really disagree is I think they have the depth to do the Champions League and do the Premier as well. And I don't think that there's really going to be a team and a B team per se. I think there's like 16, 17 good quality players there, and he can mix and match as he sees fit, as he kind of was doing with the front line last season. Anyway, I think he could do that again. Team looks strong, looks really, really strong, and I think a big factor is going to be Palmer being able to play on his favorite. He's going to be able to play on the right wing again. So that's where I think he's able to do the most damage. And obviously they added some nice players. João Pedro, I think, is way, 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 way more capable than Jackson. And then the lap, I thought, was a really smart signing because that gives them something different. He's just a pure number, depending on what the day calls for. You have
so since you say Palmer will play on the right, and like your idea, who would be the trini midfielder?
It could be any combination, to be fair. Someone like João Pedro could even play at number 10, and the lap could play 9. They could play both of them together. Or you could go with whoever at 9, and Xavi Simons could play at number 10. You see what I'm saying? Then there are some days that Palmer could also play number 10. Then depending on how they want to press, right? Maybe when they go against a Brighton, for example, they could see a lot of love with Enzo Fernandez at number 10.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like there's multiple things that they could do here depending on what they game. I think a man like Maresca is really going to enjoy that creativity side of coaching. You see what I'm saying?
The kill. You have any thought on that?
Yeah. I mean, Chelsea just seems like a very dangerous thing to me. I know they would have lost Colwell and stuff like that. But I do think they have such a variety of weapons that if this will work, yeah, we could try this. If this will work, yeah, we could try this. If this will work, they have so much different things they could do, and it don't seem like they're going to stop trying to find more weapons. So, Maresca is a really good coach. So I don't, in conjunction with who I think is genuinely going to be better than them in general, and City falling back to the way I think they are going to be, that is the spot for them. I don't see them being worse than anybody else in comparison.
Fair.
Cool. All right, cool. Let me move up to first and second then. So let me make it a little better. So we'll go first and then second. So Patrick, who you had first and then second?
Liverpool first.
Liverpool first, City second.
City second, yeah.
Virgil?
Liverpool first, Chelsea second.
Yuan?
Arsenal first, Liverpool second.
You like real puppy cup thing, like. You like real shopping. And all that is because he just didn't want to put himself first. All that is just because he didn't want to put himself first.
But
you like real shopping.
So you man can't fit in Arsenal?
No, that is not why he do that. He do that because he didn't want to have a pod where every single person put Liverpool first.
Well, that would have never happened because I have Arsenal first.
The kill, you see any vision, man. You see any vision.
I have Liverpool first, Arsenal second.
Right, okay.
All right, cool. So, all right, I feel like I might as well say the reasons why I still think Arsenal will be pretty good. Because for me, I think it's really close between Liverpool and Arsenal. Genuinely do. And I think from watching not just everything in preseason, but like even hearing the stuff that Arteta has said, I think that he used preseason in a way that I, as a fan, would not have appreciated. But I understand why it is that he did a lot of things in terms of trying to round out a lot of players, especially players who weren't mainstay players, to make them ready to actually play this season. So, like, example, Ethan and Nwaneri get more minutes in playing as the attacking midfielder than Odegaard for the whole of preseason. But let's be real, right? Odegaard is probably going to play most of the minutes. But it's more about getting him accustomed to play that kind of role. And he did that across the board with a lot of players. And even though there's some signings that I weren't the biggest fans of, I see why he did certain things. Allegedly, we signed a winger from Chelsea. I still don't know who that is. And unless we sign Eze, I will not be acknowledging the existence of that player. But that said player, plus Eze, plus Saka, make up 3 of the top 5 players of last season who are the highest dribble percentages, right? And I think that there is an emphasis in what we signed to make us a more direct team. So, for example, last season, Nottingham Forest had 100 less high turnovers than Arsenal. So Arsenal had 100 more, right? High turnovers, right? So when the ball back up high, try and counter and do something, right? They had 100 less. They scored 5 more goals than us from high turnovers with 100 less. So I think that was a clear need that I spoke about a million times last year, because we had the second most high turnovers in the league, was 10th for shots and for 16 for goals at that point. Like,
Why did
that
you
was
have the
a clear
most
need.
high turnovers?
Because of the way that we press and the way we win back the ball.
Exactly. So to compare that with Nottingham Forest, when Forest don't counter press, right? So
No, but
the situations
my
they're able
point more was about how it is that we don't make good decisions once we do have the ball in those areas. I think that he targeted players who do counter attack a lot better or can counter attack better in those situations. Because I know, like, high turnovers doesn't mean like you have this whole big yard of space to counter, but it's more about taking advantage of superiority with quick turnovers like that.
and
Because
that's
a
the
team will
question.
get
What type of superiority? Numerical or spatial?
spatial and sometimes might be numerical depending on where you win the back. But it'll be more spatial if it is that you win back the ball when the team is trying to attack. Because then they might have commit players forward, or they might have even the line might have been high and stuff. And that has happened a lot. Even in preseason, you see the same culprits who have bad decision making in transition result in us not being able to score. But in some of these players that we have added, that we've started to score in the Atletico Bilbao game in particular, right? And I think that there was a clear emphasis on that, plus playing football a lot faster, just in general. Even when Subimendi hasn't been on the field, and I take now for me, and I'll say this now, he's going to end up being my signing of the season because he is absolutely insane. He is so good, and he makes us play better in terms of more direct, more competent, and more intentional with how we play. And simple things as, like, if it is that he feels like if we recycling unnecessarily, he's going to give it back the ball one time, and he's instructing the team how to play. And I think that's a big reason as to why Partey did take away so much from the team as well, because he was a very lax player and was a more slower player. Whereas this fella is taking charge, and he's also has a bit more intelligence of how he's using the ball, as well as the way that we platform him and other players. So specifically in the Atletico Bilbao game, the system is changing. It's more double pivot. It's more that across the entire preseason, it has been the fullbacks are staying wider. It has been that the forwards are staying more inside, and we are playing with more intensity. Add that with the fact that it is on record all over in my chats with you and across millions of social media in conversations all over that I have not been the biggest fan of Gyökeres, and I did not want us to sign Gyökeres. But I've always been of the position that even if I didn't want this to happen, I'm willing to hear it out, because I've always felt like as long as we do this analysis thing, if we only analyze through the lens of how we want something to look, we will never be able to see the picture of what somebody else is trying to create. So, like, if it is that the only way that I go in and judge City playing well is if they play how they played during 2018-19 with high-flying attacking football and whatever, then I can never see what Pep might be trying to do now and actually judge what they're doing now. And since Gyökeres has come in, the first game that he played, that was like 10 minutes, dog, and when he now come off the plane, that is nothing. But since then, being able to run the channels, being able to press like a monster, being able to cover ground and show the ability to link has filled me with a lot more hope of him being able to do well. And obviously, he did score. He hit the post and all in the last game as well. But I did see a lot more facets to his game than I thought he would have. Now, one thing that you said, Patty, that is a concern is like deep blocks. And I still share that same concern, right? Because what you would do versus deep blocks. What I would say is that in my experience on that, deep blocks has never been a problem. Mid blocks is a problem. Physical, aggressive mid blocks is a problem. And I think somebody like him, where there is still that space in behind, and you need constant runners and movement to disrupt that block, even if he isn't the one to directly to score, he's created space for others. And a great example is how Saka had a fantastic game on the weekend, and it's because of when he pulls wide, and because he's such a target, he's pulling attention off everybody else. Martinelli got a lot more space to do things as well, and did trash with it half the time, but he's creating that space, which is why, like, I'm seeing all these positives, but I'm still saying they're going to fall short of Liverpool. Is that, like, I think that Arsenal have a breaking point on the left side of the defense of the team, which is that one, Martinelli, I think Gyökeres, because he likes to pull left, vacate the middle, would leave space for Martinelli to do better. I just don't trust that player is still there anymore, truthfully, to take advantage of the space that he would get. And I think there's even less variation in his game now. You know, he doesn't even try to do much anymore, and it's so head down, try the first thing that he think of. As well as I think Arsenal are a significantly better team, especially if the fullbacks have to stay wide if Calafiori plays, and he's been injury prone. And I think that's two areas that I have said whole summer, and people laugh at me. I keep saying that Arsenal should sign a left back that needed to be addressed. I think one will. I do think that we'll get Eze, but last year, I made the mistake of thinking that we'd get Nico Williams or some other winger, and we didn't get nobody of relevance because we get Sterling, but that I do not think. I'm not predicting again based on what I think would end up happening. What we have now is Martinelli and Trossard, which Trossard at moments is good, but neither going to have to be full-time starters in a title winning side. And so, coupled with the fact that we backfill a lot of the positions, you know, Norgard in midfield, Mosquera, the back Mosquera has been really, really impressive. I think we are a lot better to safeguard against injuries. We obviously have a better defense than everybody else in the country. And add all those things together, I think we'll be very competitive in the title race. But I still think that Liverpool have the firepower that and the pillars, bro. Like, I mean, even watching today, and I know they ultimately lost, right? But even when they was under the cosh today, though, they have, and I know that he probably don't have all the titles and whatever to say, though, but they have one of the best centre backs ever, probably the best goalkeeper ever, that is just hold things down for them, you know? And yes, Van Dijk was bad today, but Alisson was great and had another strong game. And like, they have difference makers in those areas, you know? Like Raya, though, good grief, though. Let's not say better. But I know he's good, but he's not difference maker good, you know? And yeah. So, anybody want to say anything else about Arsenal? I know, so, well,
we have to.
So, yeah, I guess I might as well go ahead.
I was just going to say I was lying. I do think we're going to win the league. Hey! Nah, I think it'll be tight, people say, because I think...
I think it'll be really tight, though, like, genuinely.
Okay, I don't get so far. I think it's tight, people think, but I think the problem with us is it will take a little while for our defense to kind of get into shape because we do major surgery on our defense with, like, Trent and Raul coming out, and Kirkes and Firmino coming in. Firmino was actually pretty good today. I think Kirkes and Van Dijk have a little bit of a understanding there to get. That's one thing I've been noticing. Which isn't really like is something that but I think that could cost us points in the beginning of the season. And I do think we need like some centre back depth as well. But the kind of additions we've made, the kind of spending we've made, like dog, it's kind of like I don't think like the kill being a hitter, we know that. Why are you watching me like that? You're not being a hitter, the kill?
No, I'm not.
All right, well, let me hear it. Why do you think that Arsenal will? Because I think it'll be tight. I do think it'll be tight. But why do you think Arsenal will inevitably at the end of the day?
I mean, they're going to be tight, but one had to go first and one have to go second. And I think based on the business that Liverpool have done, no, they've signed good players, but I think there's some holes that they definitely need to solve. I genuinely don't think that over the course of a season, the way how Liverpool would be defending is going to be sustainable to be able to win a league, especially when Arsenal has been one of the better defensive teams for a couple years now.
I think it'll be tight.
So like I would have brought it up in the group before, and it happened again today. Liverpool has conceded in the 2 games I watched. Liverpool has conceded 4 counter-attacking goals.
Mm-hmm.
The other team will back the ball and score immediately, and because that's going to be a problem.
I want to just counter that one time in a sense that I agree, bro. But my truth is that counter-attacking problem has been there since last year, more so from when Gravin legs had a go. You know, and because he was getting tired, right? Because it was literally only him. And I think that counter-attacking problem Liverpool had was there from last year. But the problem is with having a counter-attacking problem versus having an attacking problem is that, well, a counter-defending problem is that it still requires the other team to take advantage of it. The reality is, dog, if it is that Mateta had run through 8 times today, the problem existed, but it wasn't punished for the problem if he didn't
Yeah.
score. Right now, he did score today, right? But how much years we talk about with City, that City is conceding a million chances, but people don't score it.
I
And
also
so, as
think,
saying this to say, well, let me just finish this now.
Mm.
That the reason why, like, that wasn't a big enough switching point for me to then say, okay, well, Arsenal, this, whatever, is that I still think that Gyökeres will be good, but that is just one other person now. Like Martinelli, I have affection for this man, you know, but he's just not good enough. And it just is what
he
it
was the
is.
throw of that whole attack, Martinelli.
He's just not good enough, right? And the thing is that if I had a more bet on somebody who showed up one good season since he's been at Arsenal compared to what has been the larger case of what he is, to then now for when he gets chances to take advantage. Because again, right, the system could work then for Arsenal. Martinelli get 8 chances a game. The system is working, he's getting chances. But if he doesn't score it, it don't matter now. You know? So what I'm saying is that the systemic issue might be there, and the systemic solution on the other side for Arsenal might be there. But the individual qualities will make the difference there. And the other day, I don't think I said it earlier, but I was asking the Arsenal chat I had, right? Just more out of a joke, but I was being serious at the same time. I list out all the league's left wing options, and I list Martinelli in there, though. And I be so real, dog. That man averaged about being 15, 16 best left wing in the league at this point. Which says so much of how much he dropped off, right? But dog, God is my witness, I take Ndai over that man today. Yesterday even. Maybe the day before if I had money. But I take him, dog, you know? Like, that's how serious it is. Dog, the man doesn't think. He just doesn't think. The attacker to this reach and he doesn't think.
Yeah. So yeah, overall
No.
point of I would say is that I understand you saying Liverpool had that problem last year, but they also replaced 2 people in the back line.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe Frimpong is significantly worse than Trent defending.
Defensively.
Like-
I fully agree.
You know what's
Yeah, I
funny,
fully
boy?
agree.
Because the man has actually, like, I was just preseason, he's actually been really good defensively, I think.
I'm not saying yeah, he's going to be okay in certain games, right? But
Mm.
I don't know, bro. Sometimes I watch Frimpong and I'll be like, dog, you are the definition of a winger that had to pull back to just like end up on a team. Because-
No, I agree with that. The thing is,
Don't give me
this is a conversation we had as well coming in. I was like, even when we were linked, I was like, dog, if you I think Trent is a liability when Frimpong come, you know, it's gonna be like pressure. But the thing is, I do think the way Frimpong has been utilized, since he kind of become like kind of more of the public eye at least, he's been utilized as that kind of winger kind of role, provided the attacking with, and that's even what like he kind of did today as well. He scored a goal today, right? And he kind of made Salah come inside more central. But I don't think we've ever really seen him traditionally used as a right back now. Like he's always been used as like a right midfielder, a right wing back.
Correct.
Dog, I was
Friday night versus Semenyo, I will be there, dog.
they're going to test this man chain.
No,
Bro.
it's a
They're
test.
going to diamond test him, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the other thing is like Bradley could very well start, but I think he injured. But yeah, I mean, one of the things like I guess Nico Williams, for example, he was very good. He was on his mark. I think one thing we've seen kind of funny is Kanate genuinely being surprised by how much application he is showing a defender, because Kanate will make a run to cover and realize wait from there already. Like he'll see him already start, and that's the thing. Like he's more the kind of Kyle Walker, which is obviously not a good thing. Mold away like his recovery pace and like his ability to kind of run fast is the big defensive thing. But I do think I'm looking at him like, hang on, like maybe he's showing some glimmer potential there. So yeah, I don't know how much of a hole it would be long term. I think the problem is just getting that chemistry together is going to be a problem. It could be a situation where like we outscore teams, but that's not sustainable, right? Yeah, that's
I want to ask you something, but I just want to, Dickie, if you want to say anything else about why it is your place and the way it is.
Like I said, if in that case, I'd go into Arsenal then, because I mean, I explained why I think Liverpool, but I genuinely do think no, Arsenal. Gyökeres, right? No, Gyökeres is very stiff. Very, very, very stiff. But I think in the team that he's in, he's not going to need to do an extreme amount of stuff outside the box, really and truly. I genuinely believe with the other signings that they would have supplemented, the ball is going to come to him in and around the box, and all he has to do is finish. Obviously, I think a player like Šeško like I would have told you before, bro. Isak to me is the perfect Arsenal striker for the way how Arsenal play right now. Obviously, that couldn't come to fruition. Obviously, Sesko didn't come to obviously Sesko didn't come to fruition. But I do think with the way how Arsenal intends to play, especially with I cannot disagree with the fact that you all have a problem with like the crossing and stuff like that. Yes, because I understand he's not going to be an aerial threat per se, but I must think is the way of them attempting to be way more direct and getting the
Still,
ball in the box
still.
way more often.
Not
He's going
in
to
the
get
same not in the same way, right? But nobody can sit down here and tell you that Mane, Salah, and Firmino was Andy Carroll in the air. But Trent was the greatest crosser in the league for years, though. Right? It's more about quality across than about like who really in the box. You know?
yeah. And I
And we
mean,
play it on
it's
different.
the type as well. And every time it's probably not going to be in the
Yeah.
air. But if you're
Yeah.
whipping crosses across the box all the time, just for men to
Play it on
slide
body,
and tap
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
that's cool. It really,
Yeah.
I genuinely think they're going to be more direct. Maybe it might not be
I think they would.
swinging crosses all the time, like
And the thing is,
Stewart
though, is
down
like
into Carroll, but
it easy to mark up anything I say to like over optimistic Arsenal fan, and I mean like I'm naturally dispositioned is to be optimistic, yeah. But I genuinely was really surprised with one how quick he was and how dynamic he was and how constantly moving and never ending he was, despite being behind everybody in preseason. You know, I think he added so much dynamism, even though that he not agile like Jesus to like turn and dribble, but dynamism in terms of his movement across. Yuan, I was going to ask them with Liverpool, right? Would you say that the way that you all attacked today has been kind of how it has been across preseason?
Even I watched
Because
preseason.
don't lie.
Dog, I haven't been watching preseason. I've watched like clips. I've missed a lot of things. I missed a lot of it. But
Because I do think like today compared to the last couple of months with Salah, I think like he barely get the ball. Like in the first half he had at least some of the touches. Is there a
yeah.
concern
So
about
everything
how the
these
attack all
signings,
together?
the signings we make have been kind of to make Salah less
Workload less.
important. Yeah. And I mean in a bad way. I mean like obviously he's gonna be a critical key player and like the best player we have on the team. But I do think, he's coming on to the business end of his career, and the plan is our big reason I think of why we want to get Isak in is because it kind of has to, somebody else had to take that mantle eventually of like the man who's getting goals. And I think while like there's no real right winger out there who you can look at and say, boy, like maybe like Saka you could say, right? And obviously we're not gonna bank that whole thing on Saka coming over to Liverpool, right? So I think that's kind of where the Isak transfer comes in. It's like, okay, you have a guy here who come in to take that workload or that amount of goals and assists off of his shoulders. And you see Salah again in positions closer to goal. Today, I don't think we played really well at all. I do think the link-up play was really good though, between like Fritz, Ekitike, Show Us Life Apart, Gakpo. We saw like good link-up. Salah was he got a couple chances. His penalty was awful. But yeah, I do expect it to be kind of different when it comes to a competitive game. Again, it is the Community Shield. And, like we could say, the QC is our final, but to me, it's the first game of the season. So, I don't know. But yeah, I do think we will see maybe less reliance, which is good for us on him. And we would also see a situation, you see, now that we have like two center forwards potentially with Isak coming in, right? That might be able to, and you kind of just for Gyökeres to they kind of take the gravity away from other players, like that could benefit Salah. But I think we could also see like his assists increasing. We could see some of his more, Frimpong taking up that width means he comes more central. So again, it's a work in progress, but I do think we'll see definitely a different role for him this season than how we've been accustomed to over the last like 8 years, maybe 10 years.
Cool. Do you have any, given that all you can't win the league, but do you have any concerns besides that going into it? No?
I mean, I don't
Defensive
think
depth, I know you said
I
that.
think it's like given, as the first thing. I think, it's reflective of the money we spend, we should be competing and we should be winning, sorry. But yeah, I think defensive depth is definitely one. Attacking depth is one that we don't really like. We've lost obviously Diaz and Nunez, and obviously this like the absolute tragedy that happened with Jota has impacted plans, right? And And like, dog, like that's a horrible thing, like from a whole other perspective.
I know,
But
I
then
know, I
the,
know.
the bottom line of it as well, like we've lost like an actual player. That's 3 forwards gone. Kiesa might also leave. And yeah, I mean, we kind of do need the depth there, which is why I think we kind of splurge on. Who knows? We could bring in a winger. I do think we might actually bring in a winger towards the end of the window.
I see a favorite journal say today that apparently Arsenal and Liverpool fighting it off from Fofana.
Oh yeah, I did see that. That's kind of funny.
Which I would really like, you know. At this point, though, I think it's no. I tell you, I take in Joko out of retirement or something over Martin at this point.
I find Joko getting real standard, so.
But let we pivot now. So, Patrick, you had Liverpool first and City second, right? I want you to move off the topic, but could you give us what was your reasoning behind those two things? Because you obviously have City the highest, so you know why you don't give us your reasons why.
Yeah, I mean, big reason behind City, me thinking City gonna finish so high is, you know, Pep is a genius. I don't think I have anything to argue there because his record is there for everyone to see. And I think they have a really talented and refreshed squad. Want to focus on refreshed because brought in a couple younger players. Guys that I want to mention will be, you know, Reinders, Aït-Nouri, and Shirky, who I think could be on for a monster season here. I actually think Shirky might just take Foden's spot. I might never see Foden again, to be honest. He's a top talent. And I don't know, like with this City team, I feel like there's so many different things that they could do, and so many things that I haven't even seen or thought of that they could do. That I just willing to put in a black box and say that Pep is going to figure it out. And with the talent that he has there, if and when he figures out how to get the ball to Haaland in dangerous positions, they're going to win too many games. That coupled with Rodri should spend most of the season fit. Obviously, he's not going to start the season, but at some point he's going to be back, and that's going to be very dangerous for anyone going against City as well because of the stability that he adds. Vardiol is looking at like a decent centre-back now. He shouldn't have to play left-back much anymore. And then I'm a big Ruben Diaz fan. Most people are not. But he is the best defender in my opinion. And I hope, and I believe that he's going to play most of the season. So I think that shows up the defense there between Ruben, Gvardiol. And then most people hate on Matheus Nunes. But from what I've seen, Pep looks like he's going back with traditional fullbacks. I think Nunes is going to be a nice right back for them because Johan faced from off there, dog. But
Matheus Nunes.
Yeah, no, I really do because he don't have to play like a right back. He could play like
he doesn't play like a right back.
Midfielder that stays wide.
That's what he does, very poorly. So
I think he does a good job. At least from what I've seen in preseason, he's
and so then
one preseason game way.
Yeah.
What you think about then Liverpool and being above them? If besides everything that was said already, is there anything else you would like to add to Liverpool?
No, they're just really, really strong. They have difference makers. I think City has difference makers too. Liverpool have a little bit more. I don't even think they need Isak to win the league. I'm a big fan of.
I don't think so either.
To be honest, I think
massive fan.
Looks really good for them, and someone that no one speak about so far. Just one name that I want to mention. I think Gakpo could be on Far Monster one because finally.
That's the hot take.
Unlucky, brother. You must have said it faster.
We haven't reached hot takes yet.
We put it for like 2 hours, I can't go.
We recorded for nearly 2 hours, but we're gonna just breeze through this last set here. Virgil, anything I told you want to say about Chelsea being that high? Anything to add?
Yeah, the only thing I added as well, we had mentioned earlier, but Chelsea just all wrong. I find is they are a good team, and one thing that annoys me about Chelsea, they play football so simple. Like they don't overcomplicate it.
Mind you, he said Chelsea's a good team, but them beat up Chelsea twice last season despite having a horrendous season. What?
No, but of no great significance. Of no great
No, it's
significance.
true.
But we're
It's
looking
true,
at
it's
the.
true.
But just I find Chelsea. They what annoys me. They just so simple. They just don't overcomplicate it. They go into games that they know they want to get a result, and just play regular direct football. And they're going to realize that this season they have a lot of people. If this one not working, this one not working, they could just change out. They have like 3 different teams they could choose from. And I feel like they have enough firepower to go against whether it's a low block, whether they're playing counter attacking, whether they're playing possession based. And I feel like and with the balance in Champions League too, it's not going to be a problem for them at all.
Cool. All right. So quickly, without any real explanations, you're gonna tell me your positive surprise team and your negative surprise team. So mine already is Everton and Nottingham Forest. The kill.
Okay.
Based on what
Everton
I said,
positive and Nottingham negative. But yeah.
yeah, mine would have been United and City. United
City
positive,
negative.
City negative.
Yuan.
Surprise team positive. With Fulham, I think they might shock some people. And then Brentford, I think we already kind of went through as the negative.
Yeah. Patrick.
With the positive, I went with West Ham, and the negative, I went for Brentford.
Nice. You are Virgil, sorry.
Positive Burnley, negative Wolves.
I mean, Burnley staying up really is that is a shock. That really is a shock. Fair enough though. Okay. Positive shock player. For me, I had Gakpo. Because again, I think Gakpo had done really well with playing with the game. But honorable mention, I didn't want to say Doku. I think I have been one of the number one men to slander the man because the man cannot seem to find a pass into the box. But I thought Club World Cup he was a lot more promising, and once he could show up that final pass, that final ball, once he get past him, man, there's a lot to come from him. So yeah,
Thierry Henry stays in his man text messages. Just let you know. So yeah, hopefully,
Yeah, because he's his boss.
Yeah, so that was so hopefully, you know, you can listen to some of the messages.
Nikhil, who's your positive surprise?
My positive surprise is Sean Larson. I genuinely think now that Cunha is gone, I think he gonna continue how he ended last season, and he's gonna continue, and he's gonna keep them up. Based on how I have them, he's gonna keep them up.
Yuan.
My positive surprise player is Rodrigo Muniz. I think he'll have a really good season.
Nice.
I think it's gonna
That's
tighten.
enough, bro.
No bad.
Virgil.
Positive shock player, I will say Nordgaard, and negative shock player, I will say is Cunha.
Patrick.
I'm going with 2 fresh signings here. With the positive, I'm going with Shirky because I do think he's gonna lock down that spot, teeth it off for Foden. And the negative, I'm lucky to kill. I'm a big hater. I'm going for Sesko. I am a big hater. I don't like that guy. Play style.
Wait, we have to have a negative. In my case is Gyökeres. Sorry.
Okay, my negative wasn't Buemo. No, it's how all 3 United attackers get mentioned negative.
Yeah, boy.
But mine was just more that he would have scored way less than 20. That doesn't mean that
like
bad.
I say, again, it's going to lead to my hot take. Watch. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the comment with this whole United thing. It's like I feel like from all the signs, it's so unfortunate that he was the first sign of Cunha, and I feel like he's the one that's going to suffer the most with this front three. I feel like he's going to suffer.
I don't think he could suffer.
Nikhil, who was your negative player?
I would have talked about him already, and he's going to cost the Bully League. It's going to be Jeremy Frimpong.
Fair enough. Manager this season, I was kind of tossed up with Frank and Moyes, but I don't say I've done going to be surprised on Moyes. I was also saying Moyes. So yeah, Nikhil, surprise manager this season. Sorry.
My surprise manager. This was kind of hard for me. Because I genuinely don't think anybody gonna do out of the realm of what they're supposed to be doing in the first place.
Yeah.
So Arteta, I guess, because he actually gonna win the league now.
I guess. Okay. Cool. Well, but the thing is, right? I know you're a big believer of like manager this season is folly. that like whoever win the league is the manager this season. I know you're a believer in that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Manager this season you want?
Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
Wait,
you want that
that's a
top four.
surprise. That's not a surprise manager this season because that's what you asked, right? But like overall, I think it'll just be Slaughter.
Patrick, manager this season.
Frank.
Nice. Yeah, I think they're gonna be up there too. Virgil.
Yeah, Moresca.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, well, yeah, you had him second. Makes sense. Player of the year. I went with Van Dijk. Because again, if I met all these concerns, then win the league, it have to mean that this man went monster again. You know? And I think that the goals will get shared up with Liverpool more this year, or the start of this year. And I think he will just end up shining out if they want to win this league. The kill, player of the season.
It's Salah, bro. Like Salah not gonna stop doing what he's doing. I genuinely don't think he's gonna stop. He's just gonna keep on scoring goals. It's probably not gonna lead Liverpool to win the league, but he's still gonna be out of time. That's what I genuinely believe.
You won my player of the season.
Florian Wirtz.
Patrick, player of the season.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Salah, so I said Wirtz.
Right. It's so sick.
Virgil.
Is a toss-up between João Pedro, but I lean more to Soboslai.
My lord, how was that a toss-up?
I feel like
Do you toss in Salah? What the fuck?
Nah, no, I find with that Chelsea, I feel João Pedro is going to be up there in that golden boot.
Yeah, now how to get clipped now.
What are you tossing?
All right, cool.
I find attacking options too. Yeah, but
Nah,
I
this
find Soboslai too good in that midfield, boy.
I love
The
it.
next one is BounceBack player. Which is essentially somebody who probably didn't perform the expectations previously, but they're going back up. And I went for Palmer here because like the whole second half of last season was very mid from the man when he went and scored no goals for 5 months. And you can screw if it's however you want, but the man had no returns for 5 months. But I think that he would. Yeah, but it's not a couple. He says like, I don't want just choose a player who was outright bad and then pretend like, okay, he going to be good now, you know? Because like I have honorable mention here of Martinelli, right? But the truth is, I don't actually believe that in my heart.
That was mine, no. I had Martinelli for mine, and Buendia.
Okay. Buendia, okay. The kill was yours.
Philip Jebediah Foden.
It's Jebediah really?
No, it's not. It's actually Walter. But I call everybody Jebediah.
Who's yours? BounceBack player.
I feel gonna be Enzo.
And Patrick, could I just say something, Patrick, before you say yours? Based on what you say, right now, I would expect you to say Ruben Dias. Based on what you say. But go ahead.
I'll go in with Solanke instead, but I like the Ruben Dias shout.
I like Solanke though.
Because Solanke was pretty bad last season.
Yeah. No. Very true. Breakout player. So I didn't send all your guidelines for this, but it was really supposed to be like an under 21 player. I'm not sure if I did, but the intention was to be an under 21 player. And for me, I'll go with Wilson Odobert. So I think that he gonna do really. It was that he gets the game time, but again, preseason tax whatever. But like the 1 or 2 times I saw him play for Spurs before this, I thought he had a lot to his game. And when he played us in preseason, I was really impressed with his ability to not just dribble but get shots off. And we have history of Frank making these forwards very high scoring. So yeah, I went for Wilson Odobert. The kill, breakout player.
I genuinely think Esteval is going to get a chance and he's going to look really, really, really good.
I think so too. I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he looked real good when I saw him. So I think once he get a chance, he's going to look really good.
You want breakout player.
So you actually gave us 2 things. You told us full season and under 21. So under 21,
yes,
Esteval.
Yeah.
But breakout in terms of full season, De Kuiper from Brighton.
De Kuiper of Brighton, yeah. Dog, Estupian going AC Milan. That was so random to me there. But good for all parties. Virgil, breakout player.
Esteval.
Nice. Patrick.
Yeah, I answered the two questions too, the under 21s and the new guy.
Yeah.
For the new guy, I went kind of rogue because I can say Boots, but I don't want to say that. So I went to Barry from Everton.
Everton, yeah.
He really suits how they play.
Yeah, I think so too.
A nice one. For the under 21, I went Malik Diouf, the guy I was talking about.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, cool. And hot takes now. I'll be honest, guys. I really struggle with this, so like my hot takes kind of terrible. But my first one is that Nuno will end up getting sacked from Forest. I think Nuno will end up getting sacked. Kill. First hot take.
Okay, my hot take. I need all you to bear with me here because I'm gonna have to be talking to somebody. You've been Amorim, right? I know you're gonna see this video, and when you do, I want you to take heed of what I'm going to say. Manchester United is building a team for when you leave. So you need to organize yourself because the players that they've been bringing in is the perfect team for a 4-3-3. Now, you need to organize yourself with your system with the players that you have. But for all intents and purposes, they are planning without you being there. So you need to organize yourself. My hot take is that United has been building a team that is going to be good regardless of Amorim or not. They're not necessarily buying players for him. They're buying players that are good for a squad. And then if it works with him, fine. But they are going to find somebody that will work with these players that we have right now. That's my hot take.
Is United are buying good players.
No. My hot take is United are buying
That is
players.
a hot take. That is a hot take. They don't know who buying good players.
Irrespective of what he does.
All right. Honestly, I thought he was going to say they're going to make Amorim walk at the end of the season. I thought that's where he was going with that.
Yes.
But, okay, Yuan.
Liverpool won't start hot.
Oh, my God.
No, brother. This guy stinks.
That's even
Patrick.
thing.
Patrick.
John, kind of in opposition to what you were saying, I was saying that outside of the 3 teams that I predict to finish last, that no other manager is going to get sacked this season.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I think
nice.
Okay, so let's see.
Yeah. Virgil.
I feel João Pedro is going to be in Golden Boot race and the top assist race. He might. I feel like he might have a chance of
Chelsea.
Yeah, João Pedro.
So
funny enough,
and what's your script? And as a World Cup year, go to that Brazil, fill in that slot that Brazil need.
My second hot take was that João Pedro was going and break the Brazil score record this year and go through that 15. So
was your record 15?
15, yeah.
Firmino,
You only have 15 goals in them.
15. Yeah. Cunha, Firmino, and
João Pedro has an interesting relationship with the number 15.
That's a good one.
And with that,
that's a good one.
But yeah, so I think that he the thing that kind of go against him is like he accustomed to taking the pens. I don't see that happening that he get off Palmer, but I still think that he was scoring enough to go past get 16 and more. The kill.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yes, sir.
Your next one. You're supposed to have 3.
3? You tell me hot take 3 minutes, brother.
No, it was 3 men, as in 3 minimum.
Bro,
I
told you I get in 3 minutes to say my hot take. That's why I had this whole spiel. That's why I had the whole spiel.
He was probably why we taking so short, you know.
That man
well, okay. You have any more?
3 minutes.
I had that.
And he prepared.
The Moscow's minimum, boy.
Qualified for Europe. Like that was another one, but I already discussed that.
Man.
And the race would be quite tight for like I think it could even be like a 3-way race potentially, but like I think it would be tighter than people make it out to be. That was just essentially
my other two was one was that Pep was gonna walk at the end of the year, and the other one was, I don't say this really a hot take, but like I know people outside of me and you rate Cucurella extremely high, and I was gonna say the other one was that I think by the end of the year he'd over take Cucurella's spot.
Yeah, though.
But I don't know if that's a hot take per se. But I know how people real Cucurella. But I think Heath will take his spot by the end of the year. Anybody else had any hot takes? Because apparently not everybody had 3. So
The dynasty starts after Bruno.
I love that.
Well, that been new, bro. That been known.
People don't agree. That's why it's hot.
I had one that kind of go in line with what Johan was saying there. Because why I done was I feel like it's going to be a 4-team race for the top thing right now, which kind of makes sense where I put Arsenal now, right? I was hoping that kind of I don't know. Because I feel like I think there's going to be one of those seasons where it's going to be really, really, really close with all 4 of them because all teams look strong and they all have their deficiencies too. I think Liverpool will win the league, but I feel it's going to be like real close between all of them.
Virgil, you are anymore?
The only other hot take I had, but I didn't want to say it because words have power and I really don't want to put it out there. But I feel for the season, City will not touch first place at all for the season.
Hey.
Oh wow!
Inshallah.
That's hot.
I mean, does City have a hard start to the year?
Bro, we play Wolves. Then we play in it's Wolves.
Okay.
Then
You see
Spurs.
Wolves, the man say Wolves like if you use go say Chelsea something.
Yeah, wolves. Like it's an actual wolf.
It's Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, United, and Arsenal.
Yeah, I know we playing on.
There's only one winnable game out of that.
The United game.
Roger missing all of those. So I mean, yeah, maybe. All right, cool. All right, guys. I think that is it. Oh, I should say all of Brandon stuff because I'll leave it out. So Brandon table was pool first, then the second to fifth was City, then Arsenal, then Chelsea, then Villa, then Spurs, then Fulham, then Newcastle, then Forest, then United, then Bournemouth. So he have United in lowest, eh? This is what's another. This is some woke thing that I have United higher than Brandon has United, right?
That's funny.
United, then Bournemouth, then Palace, then Everton, then Wolves, then West Ham, then Sunderland, then Brighton, and then Leeds, Burnley, Brentford get relegated. He think that the higher scorers would be Haaland, so the surprise team, positive would have been Palace. The surprise negative team, he say, would have been Bournemouth. Let's all now pretend that is a shocker that Brandon said that Bournemouth would have been bad. Then he said positive player would be Kudus. Shock negative player, he said Bruno Fernandes. Bounce back player, he said Emil Smith-Rowe. Breakout player would be Ekitike. And he said the hot takes, he'll give it in person. So, guys, this was a very long pod, but obviously there's a lot that we got through. I obviously did not write down all these things that these people said during the pod, but when I am editing, I will write it down. We will take record of what everybody says. You will be able to bring it back up. We once again going with the group chat this year. If you all want to be a part of that, feel free to message the page. We'll add you. And yeah, with that being said, guys, bring on the season. And let me see what it has for us on Friday.
We outside.
Like, Friday is Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Yeah. I think it should always be that the reigning team should open the season.
So you just want the day off every first game.
What?
What did he say?
I didn't even hear what he said.
You just want the day off every first day of the season.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, I got training. The off is something that we love here. So, that being said, guys, catch you guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy. Later.